What's up, everybody? My name is T.
And my name is Kareem.
And this is This Deluxe Life TV. Thank you for tuning in once again. We're going to ask you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the thumbs up button. Like, give us a comment down below. Talk back to us. Let us know what you think about what we have to say. We're here today to talk about Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 9. And in this episode, we have some highs and we have some lows. And I felt like the highs were like, oh, and the lows were like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. So who would you like to start with?
I want to start with Lindsay and Mark.
Okay. Lindsay and Mark.
Because they had that explosive into the last episode. Mm-hmm. And we want to see how that has, come down. So I guess you want to start with, if you saw the last episode, then essentially Lindsay felt like Mark was leaving her out to dry with a lot of the situations that she got herself into. Mm-hmm. And Mark is just like, listen, I'm not built like that. I'm not the type of person that wants to argue with a bunch of people and get into fights and stuff like that. So just like let the small stuff go. Right. So, and I kind of feel them on both of their perspectives. I kind of understand where they're coming from. You want to know that your partner has your back, mm-hmm. but you also don't want your partner to be getting you into
putting you in situations
that you don't need to be into. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not necessary.
Right.
So I get where they're both coming from. I felt like Lindsay's blow up, and you and I were talking about this earlier, had a lot to do with her probably just being spoiled in many ways. And thinking, everything revolves around her. That's just her MO, and
well, she doesn't think anything is wrong with anything that she does ever.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't.
I'm the smartest in every room. I know exactly what to do in every situation. I think I'm the funniest person that there is. I think I'm the most intelligent person in terms of knowing the facts and the this and the that and the poop spray. Poop spray. What about the poop spray? Yeah. I can't even think about how many times that those two words have come to my mind in the last week is really distressing. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless,
too much. But,
too much.
So yeah, and homegirl, she really kind of went in on Mark with this whole just,
you don't have a good job,
like
you don't sexually fulfill me, all of those things. And of course she was saying this to one of the producers, but she was screaming it. Like,
she's
really
mic'd up. She's mic'd up. They can't hear her screaming. I don't know how much of that actually got to Mark. We don't know how much he heard, because I'm pretty sure the way he's acting, even if he's not embarrassed by anything she's saying, I'm pretty sure he would have at least had some.
There isn't a way to not take it personally. Yeah, whether you think it's true or not, or you agree or not, whatever. But there isn't a way to take it like an attack like that, because it was an attack.
Yeah.
There's not a way to take an attack like that. Yeah. Not personally. Of course, you're going to get personal.
But as you know, she is essentially, she's used to everybody giving her what she wants. She's used to being a princess, and you could tell by the way their whole relationship was set up in the first episode, where everybody was talking about her and how she can kind of fly off the handle. So I'm pretty sure she's used to getting used to that kind of appeasement whenever mm-hmm. anything goes wrong, and everybody in her life probably just lets her be the princess, be the center of attention. And this is the end result. You have a spoiled 30-something-year-old adult who has trouble functioning around strangers. Mm-hmm. And, because she's not socially adjusted. And then she pretty much goes in on Mark and just how she feels like she's better than him. Like, I'll give her props for the way she's held him down in many ways, but
that doesn't make you better.
That doesn't make you better than anybody. It doesn't matter what job you got, how much money you earn, your house or your apartment in South Boston or whatever. Like, that doesn't make you better than anybody. It doesn't give you the right to really, air somebody out. And then you putting all of that stuff out there, like just to try to embarrass him because
just like her father said in the very beginning, like when she speaks, she cuts. and he warned her about that. He even said, try not to be such a bee, like he warned her about that. He warned Mark about that. He has said to the camera that like her tongue can cut. Yeah. And it does. We see that.
And, props to Mark, because it's going to be tough even dealing with somebody like that for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
But then they seem to, so they started out the episode, if we finally get into it, they started out this episode kind of on a sour note. She was just kind of standoffish, and he was trying to make small talk. I felt like he was kind of trying to avoid it, or he didn't know how to bring it up, like bring up the issues that they've been having. So he's trying to make small talk. And this is days later at this point. And she's just like, yeah, no, it was okay, and she probably wants to vent. So eventually they get to that point where they let a lot of things out, but she does not apologize for a single
Well, she doesn't
thing.
think she has anything to apologize for, and that's a big problem. And it goes back to all of the things that we've mentioned, previously, with she's used to getting her way. She's used to like bullying herself into the right. And she's used to making people feel small when she doesn't get her way. And so we saw that happening. We saw him kind of withdraw more into himself, in that he didn't really know how to broach the issues, but he did try, and he did, bring up what had happened, even though she kind of bulldozed over, anything that she did wrong, and even, fast forwarding past, the guys had their day and the girls had their day, and they all shared stories about what's going on and things like that. She's saying to the girls, oh, there's things I could learn from you guys, and there's things that he can learn from you guys. But like, she would never say to him, there's things I can learn. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, well, where is that when he's trying to say to you, there are things that you don't do well? Like, can you admit that?
She's not doing anything to affirm him in these situations. Like, she's not giving him any kind of energy when it comes down to I was wrong, you was right kind of vibe. She just won't do it. But I think she kind of does. She definitely knows that she does stuff wrong. She just doesn't want to admit it.
She doesn't want to admit it. And that's what it comes down to. And then, they go out to dinner. He takes her out for sushi. He doesn't eat sushi. He hasn't had sushi before, which, I found a little comical, because like, we actually love sushi. Yeah. But, like, that's not your thing. That's not your thing, and like, even then she was kind of like saying, oh, he's such a baby, like that type of stuff, which I didn't really like that, but because he was trying. But
she was expressing adoration in that way. She had a smile on her face.
I mean, that is just because you have a smile on your face doesn't mean that the words that you're saying is nice.
But she seems to appreciate the fact that he did that.
She appreciated that he brought her there for her. Yeah. But, but the fact that he wasn't totally into it, she was just like, oh, he's a baby, he's a this, I'm just like, that's not cool. He's trying. You know what I mean?
I don't think that she was making fun of him. I think she just kind of...
I think that that's her language, and I don't think it's cool. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like she wasn't like teasing him, but like, just like you said a few minutes ago, she doesn't affirm him in any way. You know what I mean? And where was the, that's really great that you're trying. Rather than saying he's a baby, why not say, thank you for trying that? Like, okay, you don't want any more. What else would you like instead? You know what I mean? Okay. Like, that's what I'm saying.
I get it. I do think that she was saying that because she, she was expressing, adoration. No.
You don't call somebody a baby expressing adoration.
Okay.
You don't, that's not what that is.
All right.
No. So, but they're like, she's blowing kisses across the table and he's catching it and stuff.
They kind of made up.
I mean, they made up, but it was because he gave this apology that she wanted. It was exactly the things that she had said. I want him to do this. I want him to recognize that. I want him to know this. I want him to do that. And he said all of those things that he knew that she wanted to hear, and she said nothing back to him.
She didn't.
That was what he wanted to hear, or acknowledging the things that she needed to acknowledge.
Yeah, she could have apologized for the way she aired him out, but she did not. And maybe he doesn't know everything that she said.
He probably doesn't know yet.
So that's just crazy. But they seem to have basically, he also expressed concern for how he's going to go moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at the very least, this is just to appease her so they can get along for the remainder of the show.
Yeah, I think he genuinely wants to see, like, where is this going to go? What is, like, is there any type of chance here? But in order for there to be any type of chance, we have to clear the air. And, like, he's willing to be the peacemaker in that regard because he knows that she's not going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's Lindsay and Mock. Let's go on to Noi and Steve. So Noi and Steve seem to also have gotten past their blow up, with Noi leaving the house and kind of ghosting him, and then writing about him on social media, the kind of passive aggressive thing. But she did say when she was talking to the girls that when he was sharing how he felt about that situation with her, that at one point he was like kind of like on the verge of tears, and that kind of like warmed her heart a little bit because she was like, oh, he really does love me. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you got out of it, but all right.
But see, that's what a passive aggressive person wants.
Yes.
They want to hurt you without actually doing anything.
Right.
They want their inactivity to actually hurt you, and so he basically gave her what she wanted. Even though he had to take I believe he took a strong stance, and he really did stand up for himself in that situation. I can't see him wanting to stay with her if she continues that type of behavior.
Right.
But I think I do appreciate that they seem to have made up kind of in a genuine way.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like Mark and Lindsay, excuse me. It doesn't seem like Mark and Lindsay in let's just go along to get along kind of, hey, I'm gonna give you what you want so you're not mean to me anymore kind of way. They seem to kind of be more on the tip where, okay, we had that argument, we talked about it, and we came out of it with assurances, and then we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
So,
and they like played the little game that the experts had set up about each couple did this, like, have you ever been in love before, and what does it take for you to fall in love, and like those types of things. And Noi was really looking for him to kind of say that he loved her then, and was expressing concern, like it's been 3 weeks at this point, expressing concern that he hadn't said I love you yet, which I'm like, that's not an area of concern 3 weeks in. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just dating somebody, if after 3 weeks they haven't said I love you yet, like,
I guess Noi falls fast. Some people do. However, that doesn't mean that the other person has to. That's
true. And so, that's why I was kind of like, But anyway, he was sharing, that he has been in love before. And, for him, what it takes is getting to know that person, And so, she was kind of sharing in her confessional that, like, she felt like he was being guarded and he was moving slow in that regard. But eventually, she said she felt some love from him, and then eventually he got to the point where he actually shared some love from him in what I felt like was a pretty romantic way, and she acknowledged the romance of it all. So, they had talked about, like, on day 3 of the honeymoon, how she said, I could see, some love happening, and he was like, okay. Yeah. And so he kind of wanted to recreate that moment on week 3 and say, I see love forming. Like, I do love you. I'm ready to say that now. So she was all like, oh my God.
I mean, it was actually a little bit more like, for me, it came off, he gave her the speech. I think he wrote that down and memorized it. Because it felt like it was an email, like he was like, "Dear Noi, recent events have caused me to. I'm going over the notes of our last meeting."
No. He was not that stiff or wooden, but I think he does tend to like have very strong inner monologues happening. And so he's probably played that situation out multiple times before he actually got to the moment of sharing it with her.
Yeah.
And so, shared what he had been thinking about all of that time. Well, I mean, which is cool. I'm glad for them. We'll see where they go. It's like, honestly, there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about with them this particular episode.
They started the episode on the little adventure thing. She gave.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
She did the scavenger hunt. And
so can I just say how whack I thought that was?
It was kind of whack.
Oh,
especially the end, because the end was like, I'm here if you turn around. And she's like behind him on the swing. She's like
he
right
had
there.
to have walked right past her to see.
And it's nowhere where she could have like hid. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's like an open field.
So it's like, but it's they doing everything for TV.
The whackness of it though, because so here's the thing: it's like these little treasure boxes, right? But the only thing in the treasure box is the note, and then you get to the end, and it's like, surprise, it's me, and it's like, okay, but it's you and what? Where the prize?
Yeah,
do I get a dinner? Do I get a picnic? Do I get do I get my favorite, candy?
Little corny so-called riddles is like, remember when these are good in the summer or in the year? Remember when you put one of these in my ear? And obviously you put a flower in the ear, buy the flowers.
And it's like she underlines tree. He's like, oh, walk to the tree.
Well, she must be talking about trees.
I'm like, this is so whack. This is so
it
whack.
was corny. I guess they had a couple of challenges that they had to do. Like they had to do something romantic for their partner. At least one of them. And it seemed like at least one of them had to do something romantic for the partner. I didn't see any romantic game like that Mark and Lindsay played. I don't even think they did the "Have you ever been in love" thing because they was just too busy fighting.
Yeah, I'm like vaguely thinking that they did.
That didn't even make it to the. Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did. When they were talking at the dining room table, they vaguely talked about that.
When he made her the hamburger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So but even then, it was just kind of like, so what does it take for you to fall in love? Everything that you don't do. That's how it kind of went. Be feeling appreciated. It's like, okay. It's like, what makes you fall in love? He's like, well, I think it just takes time for me. And then she did talk about like kind of like a red flag that she saw with him talking about he goes back to past loves and stuff like that. Which I think that's kind of whack too, but we off Lindsay and Mark anyway, so I don't even want to go back on them. But Noi and Steve, they had their cute little moments. Steve seemed to have really enjoyed the scavenger hunt. Unless he's like a really amazing actor, he seemed to have really enjoyed it. I would not have enjoyed it as much unless there was like crabs at the end along with you, or maybe crab like necklace around you. And
crab necklace.
Yeah, I would just eat it off you or something.
No.
But
that's not happening.
Wow.
I'm not wearing a necklace made of animal meat.
I was just saying.
That's not sexy. Let's move on.
Okay. I'm feeling whack at this moment too. Okay, Jasmina and Michael. So, hey, I gotta get into the theme of the episode is whackness. So there we are. So Jasmina and Michael. So they, talked about had they ever been in love before and vulnerable and things like that. Michael shared that he had been in love with, his previous girlfriend. Jasmina said that she had been in love, 3 times before. She said 3 in a possible. He said 1 in a possible. I like the little spades reference that she keeps throwing in there, which is pretty cool. But, the thing that seems like they were really trying to get to is the vulnerability part. And, just like feeling comfortable enough and safe enough with each other to actually be vulnerable. So she did her, Jasmina's gym with a J, and walked him through a personal training session.
Well, first he did the picnic and he set up like all of the...
Oh, right. Let's go there first. Yeah. So the picnic, I felt like was a really great idea. And he was also like really trying to engage her in like, okay, so the ways that I've been trying to communicate with you haven't been the best ways for you. What is the, what are better ways for me to communicate? And I felt like he was right in that she was saying, well, why don't you just know how to have a conversation? Like you just have a conversation. Like you should just know how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like...
I did pick up on one thing though. So like most people, we kind of have a serious tone that we take that's not like loud and vocal. Like that's not really high pitched. It's just, and I think she takes that tone. I think that triggers him. I'm not saying how he acts is her fault, but he probably takes that and then takes it up a notch. Cause I saw that like when her whole, she was first of all, she was dissatisfied by how he tried to explain things. Because he's trying to essentially explain why he had an attitude with her, and why he took a tone with her, etc. And he felt like she takes the tone too. Her definition of taking the tone is different from his, because she tends to pretty much get into like a more, all right, let's talk business kind of talk. There's no mincing of words. It's straight talk, and she just talks straight to the person that she's talking to. And that can cause some people to get kind of defensive, and they might once they get defensive, they might actually kick it up a notch themselves. Now, listen, I don't think that tone is disrespectful. I do not. However, I saw that in their engagement, and I saw how he's like, oh, she's serious. Okay, well, I'm serious. And then his seriousness just kind of kicked it up a notch. And he started picking his voice up because that's his way of getting serious. And then she's like, calm down. She kind of calms him down. But then, like, you see the same thing over again. Yeah, I mean, but we've seen that before, and this is the same thing over again. I
mean, but it's not that every time, though. And I do agree that could definitely be a trigger for him. But for instance, when he was upset about she cut me off, like that was something that he initiated.
I mean, he was just dead ass wrong.
So it's not always like her tone, creates his tone. That's not always the case, is all I'm trying to say. But nevertheless, the point that I was making was about when he was trying to ask her, what is a good way, to engage you? And she just kind of brushed it off like, how come you don't know how to communicate? You should know how to communicate. And it's like, but I understand what he's saying. Like the way that I communicate with my family, with my friends, the experiences that I've had, this type of communication that I do, other people may not find that problematic. If you do, I want to know the type of communication that you want so I can give it to you. And rather than explaining what she wants, because she probably doesn't know, rather than explaining what she wants, she's just like, but you should know, which I don't think is really cool, because he literally is extending the olive branch. He's trying.
Trying to do better is a positive thing, and I can appreciate, him doing that. And I'll say it 1,000 times, I don't really think she's done a whole lot wrong, except for the whole, I'm sorry you feel that way kind of mentality. She seems to take that stance in general, even if she doesn't say it. It's just like, hey, you need to fix that about yourself, because, so yeah, but they still kind of ended the episode on a good note. They even once they did the
Jasmina's gym.
They did the picnic.
They did picnic first.
Then they did a lunch. They did a lunch. At the picnic, he came with presents for her dog, which I thought was really dope, because taking on somebody's beloved pet is kind of almost like taking on a child.
Yeah, that whole picnic was about him trying.
Yeah, and it was almost like taking on a child, and you want to let the person that you're with know that you take that seriously. Like, you take their relationship with their loved one seriously, and I think he did, and he, went through the trick with the paw and stuff like that, and he learned how to do it. He really put in a lot of effort in this episode, but then they had the little fallout at the end of that. fast forward to the lunch when they're talking about, have you ever been in love? And, I felt like that ended well because he even opened up that with saying, they haven't really talked much since the picnic. And then we get to the Jasmina's gym, and now they're on good terms. And, she's trying to show him exercises that...
I think he should have just rocked with it. He was like, I'm not doing that. He should have just rocked with it. Well, clearly she doesn't know what she's doing, but it's funny. Go ahead, try.
I thought it was cute. I was saying, I feel like that's something that you would do, just...
I would never be that.
You just not know how to do the footwork ladder and then just, make up a silly dance.
I probably would do that.
That's something you would do.
It's totally
anything that got to do with silly dances is
You think so?
I mean, you dance for real and you dance for silly. I mean,
well, that's true.
You do both.
All right, as long as you put in that I dance for real.
You do dance for real.
Okay. All right. I mean, what y'all may not know about me is I used to dance on television, and that is for real. So why you laugh? It's true. You know it's true.
I know it's true.
Okay. So, but at the end of the, gym portion, she said that each exercise was kind of set up for like an area that they needed to work on. And so at the end of that, they was doing their stretching and they were stretching, into vulnerability. And so she asked him about, his loved ones that had passed. He opened up about the night that his brother passed away. That was very emotional for him. It was emotional for me watching him be, emotional.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like waiting for her to like move closer to him. I was glad that when she finally did, because I felt like she was moving real slow. Because I was like, dude is in here crying. Like, can you go comfort him, please? What I mean? But she finally did.
And she, wiped his tears away, stuff like that. I felt like that was dope. She really, I think at that point, once he finally, showed his, was vulnerable in front of her, that really kind of, I think, scored a lot of points for her, in his mind. I mean, and pardon me, scored a lot of points for him in her mind, and I think that did.
But probably vice versa too.
Yeah, I think that brought them together. And she even was crying for him, and just to see him like that because she knows she has siblings and family, and
it's rough.
It's rough because it's hard to think about how you would deal in that situation with losing a loved one.
Right.
It's like losing a piece of you. It really is. So he, he opened up and she was receptive of that. And I think that, that was like a really strong bonding moment for them.
So let's move on to Katina and Olajuwon.
You want to do Katina?
That's all that's left.
That's all that's left. It's right. We only got 4.
Because, the one that shall not be named and Chris, they wasn't in this episode. So So Katina and Olajuwon, I am very, very over Olajuwon. I feel like there are some things that he could share in a much different way than he does.
Yeah.
And the way that he shares it is what invalidates it for me. Not necessarily all of the things that he's saying. It's the way that he says it, because it makes me say, first of all, well, what do you do? What are you giving? What do you share? And second of all, it's really borderline, and some people would not even say borderline, verbally abusive. Like, he is like beating this woman down. She never feels successful in anything that she tries. And even at towards the end, like when they were having the conversation about, like, they did the cooking class together, and he was like, this is the best thing that you made. And she was like, you act like I haven't fed you all week, which means that she's been cooking all week, right? He was like, ain't nothing you made before tasted like this. You know what I mean? It's like, can she get a win? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you acknowledge that she's been doing things that you keep saying that you want her to do, and she keeps saying, I want to do that because he wants it, that she's trying? And just because she's trying doesn't mean that she's going to be perfect at it. That's why it's called trying.
Yeah, I mean, he really was coming at her. Like, we were talking throughout the episode, and I'm even throughout, like, when that incident started, I'm like, well, he got a right to have his standards and things that he wants. But then as the conversation go on, I'm just like watching him beat her up. Like, and of course it's not, I mean, it's not violence, but it is.
But it's violence. He chose violence.
He's coming at her hard, like, and he's speaking to her very harshly and just telling her that whatever she does isn't good enough.
And he's making her feel like, oh, I know that you're open to me. I know that you want this to go somewhere. But before I can ever even consider you, I need to see, are you on a wife level? I need to see, can you even adult? I mean, can you even adult? Like, like as if this woman doesn't like take care of her bills and hold down a job and like feed herself and clothe herself and bathe herself. He's talking about adulting. Like, if I broke my leg, what you gonna do? He was saying some convoluted something about her being able to take a train or something if he wasn't there. And I was just like, what is he saying? He acts like he doesn't know how, like she doesn't know how to like get from A to B by herself.
Yeah, he was high throughout most of this episode. Like when they were sitting in the beginning of the episode, I thought my man's was blunted. Right,
but hey, that's not an excuse.
But no. So, but the thing is, Elijah Wan, like, bro, you really gotta accept the fact that people gonna be themselves, and not everybody's gonna be this ideal, perfect person, because you probably not either. That's
Definitely
the truth.
Not.
Like, I feel like I do feel like if she had a problem with what you bring to the table, she should be saying that.
But she's not
saying that. You're not really giving her the opportunity to say
right
anything.
Because even that last discussion that they had, and discussion is calling it nice. Every time she was trying to speak, he was talking over top of her.
Yeah. So I think there is a certain lack of respect that you just don't have for Katina. I really had high hopes for y'all, and it seems like y'all still going to kind of make it. But bro, you really gotta learn how to treat this person like an adult. Don't talk to her like a child like that.
Katina really wants a yes on decision day. She really wants to give him a yes on decision day. I think she's taking the whole marriage experiment very seriously, but she's also ignoring red flags that are harmful to her. And she got to the end of the episode and said, I feel like I'm being beat up, and truly, like, this is what we've been seeing for weeks. And like, you just sharing that you feel that way. Now, I don't know how she acts off camera or what she shares off camera, or that, didn't make it past the cutting room floor. Maybe she shared it on camera and we just didn't see it. But she definitely tends to defer to him, and she definitely seems to want to mold herself into the person that he wants her to be because she wants him to be happy. And even when they had that conversation about, have you been in love before? What does it take for you to be in love and things like that? He talking about, I need to see who you are on a wife level. And she's talking about somebody who encourages me, somebody who supports me, somebody who's there for me. Like the things that you actually want in a spouse. Not like, do you cook for me? Do you clean for me?
Yeah, it's better ways to do that. Like, it's better ways to do that. And at the end of the day, you just don't treat somebody that way. Like,
I'm sorry, finish what you were gonna say.
I'm just saying, like, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Like, you don't want to break somebody down and build it up. That's kind of like, that is emotional abuse in my opinion. It
is.
Like,
he's trying to break her down and build her up the way that he wants her to be. And that is manipulation.
And that's I don't know. I can't see that because I'll be thinking like, damn, I wouldn't want you to do that to me.
No.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that to you. So like, why do we try like when we got married? There obviously had to be ways that we adjusted ourselves to be with another person.
Yeah.
Right? So that's fine. I don't feel like I'm a totally different human being than I was before we got married. And you're not a totally human being before you got married. I don't ask you to do anything that you wouldn't normally do, and you don't ask me to do anything that I wouldn't normally do, that I shouldn't be doing, or I should be doing, or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, words I can't do sometimes, but But you know what I'm saying? Like, anything that we do is because we're supposed to do. If there's a household thing that needs to get done, and one of us has to do it, we'll do it. You know, and there's going to be, we do clash. You know, like every marriage. I haven't seen a marriage where people haven't clashed, not in the slightest bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I don't feel like I'm being beat down.
Right.
You know, like, and you don't feel like you're being beat down.
Right.
Maybe worn out. You know, maybe. I mean, you know, it happens.
It does happen.
Maybe worn out because you can get emotionally drained or physically drained, but you know, not beat down.
But that's not beat down.
That's
right.
not beat down. That's not beat down is from being attacked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like that's what I feel like he's doing.
Right.
He's constantly going on the offensive, and he's really not giving her any room to improve as a person on her own, or to let him know what she needs from him.
And like, first of all, we talking about improvements as though she needs improvement. You know, first of all, you know, just because she does not, you know, cook and clean to the way that you want your standard of your spouse to be, doesn't mean that she's not a functioning adult. The expert showed up at her house unannounced. Her house was clean. Okay. You know, it wasn't like, damn, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, you know, she takes care of herself. She eats, she works, she does all of those things that an adult needs to do. She just don't do it the way you like to do it. Right. She don't do it the way he'd like to do it. And, you know, so speaking in terms of improvement, that's not necessarily an improvement. That's a change. You know, if she's deciding to change to be what he wants her to be, that's her decision to change. I wouldn't say that's an improvement. It's a difference. In addition to that, I also feel like he was on this, like, I don't really care about the love, the affection, the support, you know, those types of things. He like when she's saying what I would need to fall in love, those are the types of things, the relationship things that she's talking about that most people will want. He's talking about, like, do you cook, do you clean? And I'm like looking at it like, if y'all are going to be married for the long term, like you say you want to be, at the end of your days, are you going to be like, is my 80-year-old wife cooking and cleaning? You know what I mean? Like, did my 80-year-old wife go to the grocery store? Or, oh, God forbid, she had delivery. You know what I mean? Like, did we eat? You know what I mean? Like, can you do some things? Like, you work full-time just like she works full-time. Yeah. Like, can there be some grace? And there was also not any acknowledgement for the things that she did do. You know, like, we keep talking about it in terms of, like, not giving her opportunity to get there, but, like, she did do some things. And he's acting like, but this is not enough for me. That doesn't count yet. And I'm like, you know, even the whole love is not on the table until you show me you did. Come on. No, sir. No, sir. That's a very, very immature way of looking at relationships.
So on another note, it seems like, you know, Katina's finally, outside of their relationship, Katina's finally let go of the issues she's had with Lindsay. So I think that's cool. They seem to be engaging back and forth. You know, she actually had to say it because her and Jasmina, they got to the salon first, and, you know, and Jasmina kind of asked her, so what do you think about everybody? You know, Noe DM'd me and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? I don't got no problem with Lindsay. And I was like, well, you did, but now you don't. So that's cool. That's cool. And, you know, they got they seem to be at least on speaking terms, which, you know,
I mean, you know, just be cordial and keep it moving. Yeah, that's all you need. Like, that's all you need.
Like, I guess she listened to me when I said, don't let nobody control your energy. You know, just don't let nobody control your energy, and it's all good.
So with that said, we saw some previews for next week, and in those previews we have Jasmina saying that Michael doesn't do it for her, you know, doesn't turn her on. I don't know if that means that they've been intimate or not. We hear Lindsay saying once again that Mark is not doing it for her. We hear Steve putting his foot down about something that Noe is doing and saying that's not acceptable. And then we have Katina and Olajuwon. I don't even remember what
there wasn't really any
about.
dialogue between them in the previews. They were trying out. They were all trying out some like what do they call it? I think it was that BDSM gear.
Oh yeah.
They was trying out stuff like that, like whips and chains and
she smacked them around.
Yeah, and Katina smacked him on the butt with a whip or something like that. So
I hope it was a cat of nine tails. Deserves it. Be whipped into shape. How you like it? Get beat up.
So,
but anyway, so that's where this episode landed. I thought we had, like I said in the beginning, some highs and some lows, some revelations. We had a love, that happened, finally for Noi. And, we have, Katina also sharing how she's truly feeling about the situation with Olajuwon. I really hope that gets better. So, they've got, how many weeks left? Like 5 weeks left?
Yeah.
So, time to turn it around. I hope that he doesn't keep doing it to where it's too late.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate your support. We're up some subscribers, so we're excited about that. And we really want you to talk back to us. So drop a like, drop a comment, and let us know what you think of our content. In the meantime, we will see you next week with Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 10. Have a great one. Bye.
Peace out.